Welcome to the Tavin Dillard Podcast, y'all guys. My name, Tavin Dillard. This here is a podcast. What in the world? What'd you say? I said it's a podcast. This is like very, very similar to a radio show of yesteryear that you listen to with your ears. Now hear me out. There's a website on the interwebs, which is like, I can't explain what that is, but if you heard of websites, this is called the YouTubes, and they have videos. And videos are like pictures, and I ain't got to tell you what a video is because good chance you was born in the last 100 years. So it cannot just have to be for your ears, but you can look at me telling this story on the YouTubes. Now I mentioned recently here, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing the video podcast, and I still don't know. But here we are today, season 5, episode 11. You can hear it and see it on the YouTubes, or you can just listen to it wherever you are. In your car, driving to work, driving away from work, driving on a family vacation maybe, driving to the snow, driving away from the snow, driving into the rain, you got your windshield wipers on. I don't know, driving to a farmer's market, driving to a farm, trying to find a pig that got loose, and you in a truck on a gravel road. I don't know where you are. Maybe you at the gymnasium lifting weights and listen to this. Maybe you acting like you lifting weights, but you just walking around and yelling, but you ain't picked nothing up yet. Like, oh, I got to stretch out here for a little bit. Oh, I'm going to go over here and stretch out for a little bit more, kind of thing. I don't know, but you could be listening to this. And wherever you listening from, or wherever you watching from, or wherever you watching and listening from, welcome to the Tavin Dillard Podcast, Season 5's Episodes 11. Now, I want to tell you something. I do 15 episodes every season. Why, Tavin? I don't know. I kind of made it up, and here we are 5 seasons in, still doing it like that away. And so, what that means is, the 15th episode every season is the Q&A. Now, the Q is abbreviation for the word question, because that word start with the letter Q, and then answers is also the next word in that, and it's abbreviation. The A is for the word answers. So Q&A. Now, that is the last episode of every season. Episode 15 is a question and answer episode. Now, I do not provide the questions. I don't show up to that episode with the questions. I don't have them. You have them. You ask me the questions. You send in them questions like out of way, tavindillard@gmail.com. But in the subject line, you got to put, season 5 like Q&A, so I know what it is. Because otherwise, folks just randomly, throughout the year might ask me a question, and I think they just want me to email them back. But if it's for the Q&A, let me know. So I'm like, oh, they want me to answer this on the podcast episode. So, and same thing, if you text me, 501-322-6249, say, hey, this is for the Q&A, and then ask the question. I'm like, okay, that way I can get like what you call like a list, like you make a little list, you write it down on pen and paper or whatever, and you say, okay, this is one question to answer on the podcast, and this is number 2 to answer on the podcast, and this is number 3, the ones I'm going to answer on the Q&A. I try to get to them all. Some of them are the same question, so I ain't going to say, Mary Beth asked in Rochester, she wanted to know how many wheelies I can pop in 3 minutes. And Lonnie Jane from just east of Nashville wants to know how many wheelies I can pop in 3 minutes, or whatever it is. Same question. I group them together. You get it. If you've been here before, you've heard the Q&As of the podcast. If you ain't, hey, I'm telling you right now, I could be answering your question in episode 15 of this season. Just send them in. Now's the time. I'm starting to collect them. If you sent in some already earlier, there's a good chance it might have got lost or buried. I'd say send it in again, but I try to keep track of stuff as I remember them. But you can go ahead and start sending them in. So that's that. That's a little housekeeping, as they say. And very special announcement. There's something in the works. And if you text me and I got your number, I texted on my friends this week, most of them on the text message that I had there, to say that, hey, there's a couple things. Folks, this is getting cold this time of year, around the winter's times, nor'easter blow in, you get a little chilly, maybe the rain come through kind of thing. And we got a couple new hoodies coming out. Now, is it a brand new design? I ain't never seen this design before. Oh no. It's shirts that ain't been made into hoodies yet. And nowadays, so one is the Bank. You seen that shirt. bink, bink. Well, now it's on a hoodie. Now, is it available Tuesday, the 24th, today, January 24th, when this podcast come out? It should be available this week. Now, if you check the link in my show notes, I'm going to leave that there today for all my, shirts and hoodies and hats. You can look through there and see if it's available yet, but it should be this week. Like me and Ryan over at Rock City Outfitters, he do my shirts and hoodies and all that. We've been working on figuring stuff out, and so that is that one. The other one that's going to be on a hoodie, drum roll please, tap on your dashboard. Don't let go of that steering wheel though. I don't know how you do that. I guess you drive with one hand and tap with the other. I don't know. Or maybe make that noise with your mouth. Early Bird Gets the Perm hoodie. That's right. Now, I will tell you that color of the shirt, Early Bird Gets the Perm, ain't available in the hoodie, so we went a whole nother direction. I think the official name, let me think in my brain. I got to go through my brain Rolodex. Heather Charcoal. So it's like, you know what color charcoal is? It's like a dark gray, kind of blackish. That's the color of the Early Bird Gets the Perm hoodie. And then the Early Bird design is in white ink. So it's kind of charcoal gray with white. So it's a lot different than the shirt in the sense that it ain't green on green. It's a very green shirt. But that is going to keep you warm and very stylish. Early Bird Gets the Perm hoodies, Bink Bink hoodies for that colder weather. Okay, so you can check that out. You got to go to a late night t-ball game or a swim meet or something. That should help you out. That'll be at the link in the show notes. Like I said, I'm so excited about it. I'm announcing it, and the link might not quite be available today, but it could be. So check that link in the show notes. You'll see all my other merch that is ready to go, and just keep a bank out this week. You can even text me and say, hey, is it up? Because I'm planning on texting all the folks I texted last week. I was like, hey, just so you know, this may happen. This is in the works. And then once it's ready, I'm gonna text everybody and say, hey, here's the link. So you can check that out. My number will be in the show notes today too. 501-322-6249. And then you can always email me, tavindillard@gmail.com, if you want for them Q&As or anything you want to talk about. You can shoot me an email there as well. So that's what you're going to see in the show notes today. Anything else, Tavin? Oh, yeah. Tavin's honey from bees. Where'd that honey come from? It came from bees. And then folks over at Bee House Honey, they bottle that, they strain the honey and they bottle it, okay? And it's just a wonderful, tasty honey in a little jar with my face on it. It's like having a meal with me if you put that on a hot butter dinner roll, softer than a baby angel's leg, or, put it in some of that hot tea, because you cold maybe, and you want some hot tea with some Tavin's honey from bees in it, and then you got a Burger Shed hoodie like I'm wearing right now, or the Early Bird Gets the Perm hot off the press hoodie, or the Bink Bink hot off the press hoodie. I mean, these are all things you can think about. But that's the world of the show notes today. It's a busy party down there. You'll see 4 things in there. The link to my merchandise I've been talking about and yapping about. The link to Tavin's Honey from Bees. You'll see my number, 501-322-6249, and my email address, tavindillard@gmail.com. I don't think you put the "the" in there or it ain't going to send to me. It's just tavindillard@gmail, but you probably figured that out too. Again, y'all wasn't born in 1919, so you probably know about internets, e-webs, phone numbers, and videos. That's not what we're talking about today. What we got going on today in this episode of the podcast, you may remember last week, my good buddy Bud from the Burger Shed found something very special. Some of his mama's old recipes. And how did he find it? Well, because me and Mort Dwidell, Rance Barnhart, Myron Curtis was helping him deep clean the Burger Shed for the new year. Found an apron underneath one of them sanitizer, dishwasher kind of thing he got there. And in the apron was a little jingle. Is a key. A key to what? A key to his safe. Key to his safe in his little back room at the Burger Shed where he keep all kind of things that you keep when you own a Burger Shed business, I guess. And inside that safe was some of his mama's recipes. He knowed he put them there, and he just figured that key would show up one day because, and I guess he wasn't in a rush to kind of get them recipes. He got plenty of stuff he's cooking that's working. So he tried one of them recipes for biscuits and gravy, more on that in a minute. And then the T-ball team that I assistant coach, head coach is Shane Grubbs, him and his wife Cheryl, they own Donut Goes. The T-ball team that he coaches, I assistant coach, and I sponsor, Tavin's Lawncare Services, mowing, edging, grass cutting legend. Day first game was this week. How did that go? More on that in a little bit. First, I'm going to jump right into this recipe. So Bud gets this little recipe card. He's deciding, what he wants to try. And there's a lot into it. There's a lot of nostalgia where you got memories of your mama making this stuff. Now you see her handwriting on index card. He pretty excited to try this out. And everybody know Bud can cook. So you ain't worried that he's really going to mess up, but you do. I guess, I ain't a chefologist or nothing like that, but you got to there's a little trial and error. There's things that you might try in your own kitchen at your home to work out all the things that ain't working yet before you serve it to the public, put on menu, charge people money for it kind of thing. So he back. He lived on a big piece of property outside of town. I got the job last year mowing it. Bud let me mow his lawn. And it's one of those things where you get a situation where now you friends with somebody and now you doing business with them. And that could be bad for your friendship if you mess that up or it goes sideways or whatever. But it ain't. He real happy with the work I'm doing. I'm real happy with the burgers he's making. He don't pay me in burgers. He pay me in money, but I eat down there. I'm down there probably 3 days a week. And the one time where I saved that bird from the air duct in the burger shed, that was a number 3 combo, but it felt like $1 million. It's so good. Where I got that little bird in the air duct out, I had that Claustosaurus Rex, but I didn't, he said number 3, Tavin, yes, bacon double cheeseburger, curly fries, and a Dr. Pepper. And he did throw it in a shake. And sometimes I forget, I remember later, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to shake with that too. But anyhow, I got in there and that little bird, crawled into my hands. He like, bank, bank. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and his little eyes went bank, bank. Like he didn't say it with his beak. He ain't got lips, he a bird, but he got a beak. And he didn't say bank, bank, but the way his eyes banked at me, it's like I could hear it in my head, like inside my brain. I heard bank, bank, and I just kind of bank, bank back at him, and he crawled my little hand. And I ended up getting him out the air duct. And he shook off like a dog getting out of the lake. I had like soot or kind of dirt on him. I don't know how that soot would get in the ducts at a burger shed, but I ain't like a construction, air duct, airflow, PhD. All I know is there's a bird. Bud wanted it out. I got it out. Next thing you know, I'm eating bacon double cheeseburger, curly fries, Dr. Pepper, chocolate shake. So that's that. But that ain't what we talking about neither. Bud's out there on that property that I mow in his house with his wife Nita in the kitchen, and he's steady working over that recipe that his mama gave him. One thing about his mama is like she wasn't working in exact measurements that you might say, like a tablespoon, a teaspoon. It's pinches and smidgens, and Bud's fingers is bigger than his mama's was, so he trying to figure that out. Like the first time, Nita gave him a sour face, like, ooh, yuck kind of thing. And they got this thing, my meemaws told me that, like, if the cook is sad or they mad, it affect the taste of the meals that they make. Now, I don't know nothing about that, but I know I ain't never been sad at, like, eating fried catfish, so I don't know what that say about catfish buffet and fried catfish cooks. Maybe they pretty happy people. But all I know is that I've been feeling pretty good when I'm eating that thing. So Bud's in that kitchen, and I tell you right now, that first round apparently didn't go well. He's telling me about it, and this ain't the stuff he broadcasts. He wouldn't put this out like, hey, I'm trying to make stuff, and it's terrible right now, but eventually, if it gets better, I'll serve it here at the burger shed. That ain't how it's going, So he's working on it. And then finally he get like one of them head nods from Nita. She goes, hey Bud, this is working out pretty good now. Like he figured like he kind of got dialed in, and he figured out like, boy, this is the way that my mama made it. And then he remember, once you get that taste, and it's something you had when you was a little kid, you go, that's it. It match up like this away. And so he decided to take it into the old burger shed and just try it out in that kitchen. Because I guess there's something with cooks, and it's like, well, let me try, it go well in this kitchen, but, different equipment, different place. I guess there's something to that. I don't know, but he take it into the burger shed. Now, he ain't telling nobody about this. He ain't broadcasting. It ain't on the menu. It ain't even ready yet. He's got to work out if this going to be something he can really reproduce in a way that's going to, like, make his mama proud, I guess, in a way, but also, like, live up to the standard of Bud's Burger Shed. It's a whole thing. I didn't realize all the science that goes into running a burger shed, but apparently it do. Well, I was down there this week, and me, and Mort Dwight, Elmire, and Curtis was in there. We was talking, and Bud was, I knowed what he was doing. I know what he's doing in that kitchen, but he wasn't telling nobody. And then he come over to the table, and what he do, he got his apron on, and he got a little towel, throw it over his shoulder, dish towel over his shoulder, and he just kind of walk up and smile. We talking, we eating kind of thing. And I look up, and I was like, what's going on, bud? And he goes, well, you know what, I'm working. I was like, I do, bud. And Myron, Curtis, Mort, Dwight, they can't be too discreet. Now, Mort, he can't have no dairy, and the whole town knows that. He told that story so many times. He like walk into a room and announce it, even if there ain't food there. And so Mort said, hey, you got any milk in that recipe? Because, I can't have no dairy. And Bud's like, it's a secret recipe. I ain't telling you what's in it. You can eat it or you can't. And truth be told, Mort don't care. He blow right through that dairy roadblock all the time. If it smell good, look good, and taste, he gonna give it a shot. He taste it and eat it kind of thing. So he just acting like he trying to keep a New Year's resolution by asking that question, but he didn't care none. He's just gonna be out there hanging out in the burger shed with me and Myron and Bud. And if Bud brought biscuits and gravy to the table, 100%, Mort Dwight gonna put a hurting on it. 100%. And Myron's like, you gonna serve us up some, or what's the plan here? Are we supposed to be quiet about this? And Bud's like, this ain't something that's available to the public. It ain't on the menu. I would like a little bit of feedback, but don't make a big scene about it, Myron. And Myron's like, I won't make no big scene. If you put this in front of me on a plate, I won't say nothing like that away. Well, Bud's like kind of smile, and I kind of roll my eyes because, if you let Myron, Curtis, Mort, Dwight loose on something, it ain't going to be private. And Bud don't care nothing about that, but he's just going to have to hold his ground and tell folks, hey, I know you might have heard about this, but it ain't ready yet, kind of thing. So I got a little taste, and then I had to get to work. Plus I had a T-ball game to get to that evening, so I couldn't just hang out at the burger shed all day and try to watch all the chaos that Mort Dwight and Myron was going to get into, trying to be quiet when they can't be quiet. And so I had a little bit, and I'll tell you right now, Bud's onto something. You can tell he come from some cooking stock, if that's the way his mama cooked, because I already knowed he could cook, but boy, he really turned that biscuits gravy into something else. They done already had biscuits and gravy down at the burger shed. That ain't a secret. Not gravy, but the biscuit. He make biscuits, biscuit and sausage and that kind of thing. But no, the gravy, let me back up, the gravy did not exist. The gravy did not exist at the burger shed, but the biscuit's already there. So he didn't try no new biscuit recipe, in case you confused. So I had to get off and get on to my game and then get out to the T-ball field. How did the first T-ball game go? Well, let me tell you this. The way I describe our first T-ball game, let's say you get to the top of a hill and you got a bag of marbles. And then you cut that bag of marbles open and they spilt out everywhere. And your job is to try to run and collect all them marbles while somebody trying to hit you with a bat. That's kind of how it went. It's chaos. These little old kids, they don't know what they're doing yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet other than sponsoring the team. Tavin's Lawncare services, mow it, edge and grass cutting legend. But I'm like, run, hit. Like, I don't know. Shane's doing a pretty good job. He knows a little bit about baseball. And, of course, I do as a softball player. But I don't know how to tell a 5-year-old to do some of these things other than, hey, do that. And they try to do it, and it don't look like nothing like I thought it should have looked kind of thing. And that's where you got to get into learning a coaching technique, I guess. Well, B.W. Childers, that's Brody Childers and Brandy Lynn Childers' little boy, he wanted a piggyback ride to first base. Now, that ain't never happened in adult softball league. So I didn't know what to do with that. And Jesse Tucker, that's Russell Tucker's little boy, he helped him out. He obliged, and he gave him a, piggyback ride to first base. I look over at Shane, I was like, is that in the rules? Like, can they do that? And he goes, the rules are pretty loose here, Tavin, as far as, they need to kind of hit and run and get some exercise. I'm like, well, I guess they doing that. And Jesse got some pretty strong haunches for being able to hold up B.W. Childers. He ain't a big boy, but he's still a boy. You a little fella, and you put another little fella on your back, and you run into first base like he was trying to win a race. He wasn't just trying to get down there and complete the mission, but like be there quick. So he did that. He did hit first base pretty hard, and they both tumbled to the ground, got a little dirty. But they and then Jesse had to go back to the dugout because it wasn't his at bat. It was just B.W. Said, "I want a piggyback ride," and that's how that went. So I don't know. Now, who else do we have on? We got little Will Dilroy. That's Candy Dilroy's little brother. He played pretty good. A lot of energy, as you can imagine. Perry Lee Grubbs. That's Shane and Cheryl's little boy. He's fine. He's a pretty good listener, actually. To nobody's surprise, Luke Bryan Spencer didn't show up. That's Delma Spencer's little boy. She didn't think there's going to be no food there. And apparently, if there's something going on and there ain't going to be free food, Delma ain't really interested in being there. Well, I don't know how she didn't hear that there's snacks. There's a snack schedule. Brandy Lynn Childers, she's in charge of the snack schedule. She brought snacks for the first game, but Delma I guess didn't get that memo because she didn't bring her little boy, and they weren't there at all. So, and then Champ Tharp, he's there. You know, his folks run Lady in a Trampoline, and he liked to jump, which ain't a surprise to nobody, and he's doing his thing. So we had the whole, you know, Hunter Farnhart, that's Rance's little nephew, he's down there. I mean, it's just running all over the place. Well, I don't know what the score is. I don't know if anybody's running the right direction. Well, I know they ain't, truth be told, because I know which way you run around the bases, being a adult softball league player for as many years as I have. And sometimes they run in a beeline right across that mound, past the tee to second base. It's like, no, you got to go through first base first, kind of thing. So there's a lot of that going on. Then in the third inning, speaking of snacks, them boys found the snacks. They's in a little cooler bag that Brandy Lynn brought. Well, she left that thing in the dugout. So third inning, they tore into them things. There's a 7-minute delay trying to get them kids out their snack bags and back onto the field. So that took a while. And then the other team, they seemed to be having a good time, except the one kid that wasn't, Arlen Reinhold, he on the other team. He went under the bleachers and hid. He didn't want to be there. Well, his mama, you know, she paid money for him to be on a t-ball team, and she don't want to be embarrassed. You know, the only kid on the other team that ain't playing and hiding under the bleachers is her boy. So she go under there. Bev's what they call her, Bev Reinhold, and she got stuck under them bleachers. Arlen did. He kept backing up, and then she get under there. She get wedged, and the way, you know, she got haunches, you know, just kind of, she legs out, and her head's way under there, and she just, Arlen, get over, Arlen! I mean, boy, I didn't know he had a middle name, but I did today. It's Stephen. Arlen Stephen Reinhold. Anyhow, they delayed the game for a little bit. That's another 8-9 minute delay trying to get Arlen out from under the bleachers. Finally, they lured him out with a Snickers bar. Turned out it was just half a Snickers bar, but that's the best somebody had in their purse. And once he got a hold of it, they were going to try to take it back from him and just say, get on the field now. But he basically inhaled that thing. I mean, if he took one chew, that's all he took. And that thing was gone. And he ain't a big boy, little Arlen, but he took care of that Snickers bar. Reminded me of Meemaw. She loved them Snicker bars. I gave her, as a gift one time, a paint can full of Snicker bars. It was an empty paint can. I mean, she'd be mad if I had still painting that, but it was just a gallon, you know, and big enough, you know, got the little handle on it, and boy, she's happy as anything. So anyways, the T-ball game, who won? Your guess is as good as mine. We all got exercise. Coaches got exercise. Kids got exercise. Bev Reinhold got exercise. She army crawled into the bleachers, under the bleachers. Ricky Don Pearson, he happened to be nearby, and he's volunteer fireman. He helped unwedge her. And, you know, Cheryl Grubbs, she came for some of the game because her son, you know, was playing on a team, and her husband coaches. And she got real quiet because they had to call the fire department years ago. She got stuck in a bike rack at Rickard's grocery store. Still won't talk about it. And the authorities won't neither. They couldn't get much out of her, so they don't have much to talk about. She ain't got a bike. We still don't know what happened there. But anyhow, the game went good. I mean, everybody had a good time. We was missing our one player, but I'm telling you, after that team meeting, when he ran in head first into a folding table and there wasn't no food, and Delma took her and all the kids she brought away, I figured Luke Bryan might not be back much this season. So far, Luke Bryan Spencer, he missed the first game. And so I'm down there. I worked up an appetite at this point, just trying to coach, trying to instruct these little kiddos where to go, what to do. And Cricket show up. She done with her nursing home shift, and she said, "You want to go get a little bite to eat?" I was like, "I sure do, Cricket." Guess where we went? Down to the Burger Shed. Now, the thing about it is, Burger Shed, they don't serve breakfast all day, but Bud know me, we buddies, and he really likes Cricket. She has been delivering produce to the Burger Shed for years from her daddy's farm, like they families know each other, all that kind of thing. And he's like, hey, y'all want to try some of that biscuits and gravy? I said, sure do, bud. So he cooked up a little bit of that for us. Like, if Bud is there, he make it. He ain't like handing that recipe over to nobody yet. So, he ain't trying to mass produce it. And it ain't what it may end up being. I'll tell you right now, what it may end up being is a secret menu item. You heard about that at places? Like restaurants and places where it's like, oh, this ain't on the menu. You got to know it's there and to ask for it, but they ain't going to tell you to ask for it, and they ain't going to promote it. And if you start talking about it, they ain't going to make eye contact with you. You just got to be able to say it, order it, and get out of there kind of thing. So that may be a possibility. That's just my wheels turning. Bud didn't say nothing about like a secret menu item, but it's good. We had a good old time down there at the Burger Shed. Me and Cricket got to catch up a little bit about the new year, what's going on this spring. Of course, the Valentine's is coming up, and I got to think about that. I got to figure out what I got to do or not do. Myron Curtis over talking about getting Mary Beth Tucker some shop towels. Me and Mort Dwight had to talk about that. I was like, that ain't what you do on a Valentine's. That's on a different day. But you don't bring her shop towels on the Valentine's. Boy, he got saved from a world of hurt the way I see it. But anyways, we had a good time. Maybe a new menu item down at the Burger Shed. Kind of a big deal. T-ball team, Tavin's Lawncare Services, mowing edge and grass cutting legend. The season has begun. We off and running in all directions. And don't forget, check them show notes and get in touch with me if you got questions for the Q&A coming up in a few episodes, episode 15. So like today, we're wrapping up right now, episodes 11. So it's just a few weeks away. So send in them questions, because that's what I'm going to talk about. If I don't get no questions, I guess, maybe I'll make one up and try to answer it for a little bit. But send in them questions. You'll see it in my show notes today. There's my email and then also my phone number. You can text me. Check them other links, Tavin's Honey from Bees, and also my new merchandise. All my merchandise is there, and hopefully real soon, if not at this very moment, this week, you're going to see the Early Bird Gets the Perm hoodie and the Bank hoodie. And hey, if you like this podcast, could you share it with somebody? Give it a rating. Leave me a comment if you're listening on a platform that lets you do that. Like the Apple Podcast, I know do. I ain't sure about all the other ones, but you probably know. And if you're watching this on the YouTubes, well, let me say, hey, Bank, good to see you. And you can leave a comment here. I appreciate y'all watching or listening, because it's like a radio show, listening to the Tavin Dillard podcast. And hey, if you ain't got wedged underneath the bleachers down at the T-ball fields trying to fish Arlen out from underneath there because he didn't want to play no T-ball this week, you having a pretty good week. Me, I'm Tavin Dillard. This is the Tavin Dillard podcast. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, y'all guys, we'll see you later.